morning and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. I'm Larry Colvig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. Thanks for listening. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you. Kyle Thomas is on with us today, certified financial planner on the Haven investment team. And if you're listening and we're talking about something, or if you have questions, worries, concerns about your situation, retirement, or any of these retirement topics, which we've talked about for years, feel free to give us a call at 612-504-8400. Visit us online at havenfinancialgroup.com. Come to our classes or shoot us an email, info@havenfinancialgroup.com. Our job description is really to answer questions. And oftentimes people have questions for years and they don't ask them. Why not get those questions answered? It's as simple as that.
Kyle and Larry, it's so great to be with the two of you again this week. And the subject that we're going to talk about is one that I think a lot of people over this holiday season are probably talking about with their spouses and with their children. This is the time of year when a lot of kids, seniors in high school, are either applying or finding out early about their college destination. And I don't know about you, Larry, although I feel like I probably do. Kyle doesn't know this yet, but your house is certainly one of your big expenses in your life. But if you are so lucky that you can send your children to college, that has become an expense in this day and age that is, let's just say, much greater than what our parents faced. That is for sure.
Oh, my. You said that very eloquently. Of course, you know that my wife and Rochelle and I have four daughters. Paris, who's in med school in North Carolina, in the thick of it, and identical twins that just turned 23 here last week. They both graduated from private colleges, and one is going to go off to med school. And a 19-year-old that's living her best life at the University of Kansas. So you could say we know college expenses extremely well. Kyle, not so much. With two little ones, if anybody should be planning, it's him, and knowing him, he is planning. So the good news is start early because it gets here much quicker than we think it does. And it's super expensive. My goodness, it's ridiculous.
It is. We can only hope for Kyle that by the time his children are ready to go to college, maybe it's circled back and started to come down a little bit more because you and I, Larry, we got hit right in the prime of high tuition. That is for certain.
For sure.
Let's talk a little bit about this because this impacts young people like Kyle right now who are planning for his retirement, but he's also college planning. It impacts people who are getting ready to send their kids away to college and maybe did not plan the way they had hoped to or wanted to. And certainly a lot of times it impacts people who are in their retirement years and they're trying to help out maybe grandchildren, or maybe they're still trying to pay off those college debts. So let's talk just a little bit about all of that. We'll begin with college planning situations today. We're going to talk about rules and strategies for the 529. We'll also talk about universal life insurance for college and other expenses, which is something that's really sort of new and to me anyway, and kind of a cool option. And then finally, wealth stability and family finances. But let's get started. It's never, if you're married, Larry, I would say that you're going to say it's never too soon to start planning for college tuition.
It never is. It's never, just like we say, it's never too early to start planning, putting money away for retirement, but the question is, how much money, disposable income do you have to do all this?
Right.
But it is important because the power of compounding over time can really add up to at least help with the college costs. Now, nobody said parents have to pay for all of college. My wife and I over the years have had a great debate when it comes to this because, my parents made me have skin in the game. And I'm of the belief that skin in the game is important because it keeps the kids involved in what they're doing. It's not a free lunch out there, and they take it a little more seriously. But yeah, the sooner you can start putting monies away for those little ones, 529 plans, whatever those, or Roths. There's a variety of ways you can do it, UTMA or UGMA type of accounts. The sooner the better. I just was reading that the average college tuition has increased almost 200% since 1963, almost 200%. that's a really steep number. I did my four-year at Bethel College here in the Twin Cities, and I remember it was $12,000 a year. Well, one of my daughters just graduated from there, and it was $65,000 a year. My goodness, I can't stress enough the power of putting away whatever you can, if that's important. Now, I will also say that nobody says you have to go to college, and there's a great debate out there that says, is it worth all that money? Because student loan debt. I'm well aware of folks that come out of college with a whole bunch of student loan debt and they can't find a job. So again, everybody is different. I'm still big into the education piece. I'm still big into the grades. I think there's merit to that. There's value in it. I know my daughter says that her counselor at college says, well, nobody looks at your grades. Well, I beg to differ a little bit on that. I think maybe she was just trying to sell me a bill of goods there, but at the end of the day, I value education. I think it gives you a better opportunity, a better chance. Certainly, studies show higher income potential. But again, at what cost? That's what you really got to weigh.
Yeah, absolutely. I've known a lot of people through the years who have decided that they would get their undergraduate at maybe a local college and then maybe get a graduate degree at a college with a bigger name because those undergraduate degrees so frequently equal, no matter where you go, you're still getting those basics. But wow, it has gotten crazy. And as I said off the top, and you just said it as well, Larry, it's not the same cost that it used to be. So how do you go about starting to save and thinking about what it might be for, children who right now maybe are in middle school? What is that cost going to be? So let's talk to you a little bit about this, Kyle, because you've got little ones.
Yeah.
How are you guys going about it? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, well, right now I got a 2.5-year-old and a son who just turned 1. So it's definitely on our minds, even though we're a good 16 years away minimum from that. So, but you have to start early. One of the biggest things you can do is start early, because now you have that compounding interest of whatever you're saving, and it has more time to grow in the market to help ease that burden of college. And like Larry said, it you don't have to pay for all of college, right? You can help your children out or grandchildren out, and hopefully they get some grants and other things like that can make those payments easier, or they could chip in too, so they can have some skin in the game. But the tuitions have gone up dramatically, and that 200% increase that Larry had mentioned, that's also an inflation adjusted number. So that means, if we equalize the time periods here, that means if you paid $10,000 in 1963 for college, you're actually paying $30,000 for that same degree in 1963 for college. So that's not including any inflation numbers. That is excluding, the inflation aspect there. So that's just an absurd amount for tuitions to increase. And we would expect that it would continue that trend going forward. So we need to really put our planning hats on here and make sure that, we can plan for these tuition costs, and that we don't put ourselves in a hole when our children get to 18 years old and they have to start paying these large tuition costs. So
absolutely. Well, a good plan can certainly open some doors, but you want to make sure that good plan does not deplete your retirement and your future as well, which is something I think happens to a lot of people in an effort to help their kids. So when we come back, we're going to start by talking about 529 plans. I'm sure that many people listening have heard of them. Maybe they have already invested in them, but we're going to sort of walk through what they are and what some of the rules are. 612-504-8400. That is how you reach the folks at Haven Financial Group. 612-504-8400. And you are listening to the Haven Financial Group Show.